Hey guys, Rominating Reaper here. So, another spooky season review. I figured I'd get one out, It's nearly Halloween, so, might as well actually try and get another episode of these out for you. So, I just got done watching another recent one. Yeah, this is all fairly recent horror films in the last few years. Maybe expose some potential gems in the genre. But, yeah, I just got done watching Renfield, another one from this year. I was really looking forward to this. I unfortunately didn't get to see it at the cinema, but I was so hyped for it because it's a horror comedy, full of gore, starring Nicolas fucking Cage as Dracula. Like what's not to be hyped about? And the trailers made it look a lot of fun. Just a good old gory time, plenty of limbs being tore off, blood and guts flying everywhere, and Nick Cage doing his stuff as Dracula, working his magic. But does it actually live up to that promise? Let's find out. So the film centers on Robert Montague Renfield, the familiar of Dracula. He tends to his needs, cares for him, and also brings him bodies for him to feast on the blood of, so that he can, go to become the full power and do the Dracula stuff. And Renfield has been doing this for over a century, sort of transferring him from place to place in the transitional periods when he loses power. However, after a century of serving the will of Dracula, Renfield decides that he finally wants to live his own life and serve his own needs, and so strives to break his codependency. So, yeah, look, I'm gonna be blunt. The film was kind of disappointing. Like, it's not bad per se, but I wanted so much more from this. Like, for one, it's from what it wants to go for, it's kind of unfocused. Like, on the one hand, it wants to be a film about Dracula and Renfield's relationship, and that stuff is very entertaining, and it honestly needed a lot more of it. Like, perhaps the highlight of this is a really fun opening, which is like a real entertaining pastiche on the old Universal monster movies. We needed more stuff in the vein of that because honestly, the Dracula and Renfield stuff kind of gets lost in the mix among like other stuff. Like there's a whole ass subplot, like it's basically a police procedural with like a traffic cop dealing with like mobsters in her area and potential corruption in among her force. Like that's interesting on its own, but like when you come to a film titled Renfield and which features Nicolas Cage as Dracula, you know it does feel like you're taken away from what you're there to see. Oh, and it also wants to be like a really cool, slick, like Matrix-esque action movie with, really stylish choreography, lurid slow-mo shots, and superpowers and blood and guts flying all over the place. So it feels kind of unfocused in what it wants to go for. But the stuff that works, I did find myself having a decent enough time with. Like, for one, I thought Nicholas Hoult was fairly charming as Renfield. You know, he sort of sells his arc of, standing up for himself for what he wants and breaking the cycle. It's an interesting arc. He does it very well, and he even brings some little bits of humor to it. And he's in a fairly charming dynamic with Aquafina as said traffic cop who's seeking revenge for the death of her dad at the hands of the mobster she's investigating. Yeah, when she's with Renfield, yeah, she's fairly charming, but other times she can basically just be, her usual like brass, brash, loud self. I think she needs to do another indie film. She's been in a bit the comedic supporting role in like a few too many of these big blockbusters now. Her shtick is beginning to wear thin a bit. Uh, That said, I did enjoy her a bit more than Ben Schwartz's character, Teddy Lobo, like a sort of like weak mobster who, basically relies on his family to look tough and, but eventually gets like real power thanks to Dracula. Yeah, I didn't really like this character much at all. Like he could occasionally be funny, but for the most part he was just all his character was basically just shouting to look intimidating and saying fuck a lot. Like yeah, I kind of wanted him to get killed off very early on. He did not work for me at all. But in saying that, there is a standout here. I'm not, well, you know exactly who it is. Nicolas Cage. Like, man, Nicolas Cage as Dracula is just a concept that inherently you cannot fuck up, and yeah, they don't. The real fuck up here is that he has, like, nowhere near as much screen time as he deserves. Like, Jesus. Like, but when he is on screen, which is, a healthy amount, again, even if not enough, he's, he sells the Dracula presence very well. He's very suave, but also like equally vicious. He sells that balance really well, and injects his trademark little Nicolas Cage quirks in there. Yeah, he's fantastic. Um, the the film, also does sort of go for like the conventional blockbuster, action comedy thing with a bit of heart. And like the heartfelt scenes do have some kind of charm to them with a decent little message of breaking away from like toxic relationships, which to be honest, I thought was covered better in Strays. Uh, and some of the humor did make me chuckle as well. There were fair few decent witty jokes in there, but the problem is it also just kind of devolves into like the usual like so that happened type joke that Marvel has popularized over the last decade. So it's a bit hit or miss on that front, but it did get some chuckles out of me, and it was had a decent enough amount of heart, and it did have me smiling at some points, and I did enjoy the character arcs. And there's also some decent little action scenes. As I said earlier, the choreography is very stylish and slick, and there are some decent little gore effects, like notably when people's stomachs get cut open. I thought that was pretty well done, but the problem is some of the gore also feels very like, fake. It sticks out so obviously as CGI, and it never really leaves any sort of lasting impact on a scene. Like, yes, we'll see some blood on that character's hands and faces, but the environment around them just remains like very clean. Like it feels too glossy and too immaculate. In fact, when we do see like blood on the environment, it feels so fake. Like so, yeah. I feel very mixed towards Renfield. This is a very disappointing film, but not without its charms. Obviously, there were some good performances, some decent jokes, some entertaining enough action scenes, and a nice little message here. And how Nicolas Cage is great. And there's even some fun little pastiches on old monster movies, and there's a decent enough soundtrack as well. But yeah, this felt so far short of what I wanted it to be. Like I was expecting a absolute blast of a time, and while I was moderately entertained, it could have been so much better. And yeah, those are my thoughts on Renfield. I I didn't hate it. I was entertained enough, but yeah, it was a bit disappointing. And overall, I'm gonna give it a 6 out of 10. So yeah, let me know down in the comments. Have you seen Renfield? What did you think of it? Would you like to have seen more scenes of Dracula? And what did you make of Nicolas Cage's performance? Let me know all that down in the comments. Don't forget to hit the thumbs up button if you enjoyed. Don't forget the subscribe button if you're new, and don't forget to turn on post notifications so you don't miss an upload.